Hey, welcome back to Exit 45, and we're going to work on the rear end that came out of my 65 and see if we can't get that rebuilt. Just to do it and see if we can't move it on to somebody who may need it. All right, so let me show you what we got going on. All right, so let me show you what I got here. So this is out of the 65. There's a video a while back, me ripping this thing out of there. There it is. There's the 65 it came out of. Anyway, this came out. I didn't get rid of it. I didn't bring it to the scrapyard because I figured, why not? Let's just get a rebuild on it. So let's get it from here into the shop. All right, so got it all secured and ready for me to start busting it down. So I think the first thing I'm going to do is try and get the pan hard bar off, and we'll get the cover back off. We'll try a big breaker bar. There we go. Okay, just a quick look in here at this. So what we got, serial number, and you got the two numbers 11 and 41, and that's your gear ratio. So that's the number of teeth on the pinion and the ring gear, and that's going to come out to a 3.73 for a gear ratio. Then you have GM12 for a 12 bolt, and then the date code that it was manufactured. So there you go, 3.73, 72, something like that. And we'll pull the pumpkin out, make sure we get a good look at all the teeth, and make sure whether we can reuse this, because that's pretty good gear ratio. I'd like to hang on to that. And so anyway, all right, so I think we got to get the C-clips out, and then we got to get our drums off so we can slide those axles out. So let's get started on that. Okay, took a lot of persuading, but did get it to break loose. Okay, so you saw we got this off. Oh, sorry. But this is the axle right here. We need to get that out. And then if you go here, we've got to get this pin out. And so we have to get this bolt, this keeper, pulled out of here as well. There we go. And then we should just be able to push that right out just like you saw there. All right. So let me work on getting that out of there. I'll get it. All right, we'll get that out of there so we can slide the axle in a little bit so we can get, there's a C-clamp that's right in there that's holding that axle in there. And we got to get the axle to come in a little bit so we can pull that C-clamp out. There you go. Right there. Just slid right out of here. Just like that. You can see it just comes right out. All right, so now we need to get the axle to push in a little bit. Let's see if we can't. And there's our C-clip right there. And now we can just pull the axle right out. Here we go. And that is how you remove the axles. Okay, there it is, gone. And we'll just repeat and do the same on the other side. Okay, so you can see we got the other axle out. I put the pin back in and put the keeper in there just to hold it all together. I just don't want all this coming apart just yet. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to pull the carrier bearing end caps off. I've already got the bolts loosened up. Excuse me, sorry. When you pull these off, make sure that this side goes back on this side and this one goes back on this side. They are a matched and board for those particular areas, so don't swap them. If you have to, go ahead and mark it somehow so you know which one goes where. Okay, there's the bearing races. Bearings are on the pumpkin. We're not going to reuse these, so it doesn't matter that they hit the floor. If you're going to reuse yours, try to be real careful about that. And there's one more thing I forgot to mention is the shims. Those need to come out, and they need to stay on the same side that they came out of, because that using those shims will be a good starting point as far as resetting your gears and getting your backlash correct. So pull these out and make sure they go back in to the same side so that you have a good starting point. Other than that, I think that should be about it. Gross in there. All right, now to the pinion. I don't know if this will get it or not, but we're going to try. Nope. Let's try the big bar. Oh, yeah. All right, I got it broke loose. So let's see if we can get it off now. All right, we got the pinion nut and washer off. Now let's just work this off of here. There you go, got the yoke off. Should be able to just bring that back through the other way. All right, let's get it on the other side. All right, there it is. And there we go. We'll clean this up and take a good look at the gears, make sure there's nothing bad about them, but just a quick look at them doesn't show any damage. All right, so now that I got all that out, I need to pull this seal out so I can get that bearing out, and then we'll work on getting the two races out of the housing. They don't want to come out. Turn it up. Come on. There we go. Now we're getting it. There it goes. All right, here's my seal. And the bearings. I'm not going to reuse any of that. That's been sitting in some milky oil for a while. We're not gonna use that. Okay, so I got the race out of here. Knocked it out. I had to knock it from the other side, push it out this way. I just used the sledgehammer, and I just used a big old heavy duty square pipe that worked really good. Last time I was knocking races out of a rear end, I broke my thumb. So I tried to go something a little bit more substantial. Anyway, you can see right there, that's where it came out of. And then if you look down in there, right about in there, there's another race I got to knock out that way. So I'll get that one on film. All right, let's get this other one out. This takes a little bit to get it started. Once you get it going and moving, it's not so bad. Got it. There you go. The only thing we have left to do will be to pull the backing plates off of here. All right, I'm going to strip the brakes off of this backing plate so we can get them out of the way. They're clearly garbage. All right, I'm gonna cut the emergency brake cable off of here. I'm not gonna mess with it. Okay, so I'm gonna get the, and this wheel cylinder is a mess. That's definitely no good. So it's just the 2 bolts. All right, so I got the bolts out of the wheel cylinder. And now the wheel cylinder's on the ground. All right, let's get these. All right, last bolt. All right, we'll keep that, clean it up. We'll need that, but the rest of that we won't need. All right, let's see if we can get the seal out of here. It's all coming down. Huh, the seal's being a pain. We got it. Well, guys, I'm back out here in the morning and we're ready to go ahead and see if we can't knock these bearings out. So here's your tool right there. And then this is going to go right inside there like that. And then it's going to catch on the, and then you basically let it fold out. So it'll now catch it. And then you can just run this down until it's tight in there. And then we'll hook up our slide hammer and see if we can't knock this thing out without knocking this thing off of my bench. You get to watch me whack the crap out of this thing. Okay, here we go. So you just take your slide hammer, screw it into the other end of here. There we go. And then you just work it out. Just like that. So now that we're done degreasing and washing all of this, go ahead and get my bearing puller here attached to this. And then we'll set it up here on my pipes so that I have room for my pinion to pop down and drive the bearing off. So, all right, there's the setup. Pull back a little bit. There you go. And you can see down in here. And up here, I'm catching the bearing here, and then I'm going to push the pinion shaft down. All right, so let's get it. And you can see it going there. Coming off pretty easy, actually. Okay, I gotta finish this with two hands because I need to keep this from falling. So I'll bring it back in when I got it apart. Well, there it is. And there's the bearing. So that pressed off pretty easy, actually. Probably the easiest bearing I've ever pressed off. But I'm not going to complain about that. We talked about shims when we tore apart the differential with the other bearings. The same thing for the pinion. You got to shim that pinion so it's got the right depth. And so we're going to again start with the shim that was in there because that should be the closest, although this gear set was really loose when I got it. So all right, let's get the differential. We got two bearings to pull off of there, so let's go ahead and get that. Okay, so you can kind of see what I got going on here. I should have enough room for this to come down because that bearing doesn't have very far to go to come off. So, you know, I just got to MacGyver these things to make it work. I don't have a big fancy setup, so. Come on. Nope. See my carrier or my bearing starting to come apart there? I got to get that underneath there better. Just take the pressure off before it completely destroys itself. Okay guys, so right here, it keeps wanting to slip to this outer race. I can't seem to get it to grab and hold underneath the inner race. Not sure why, but I can't tell what's going on underneath there. And so what I'm going to do is just pull it like it is, rip the outer race off so I can see what I'm doing underneath there. So here we go. Ow.
You okay?
Yeah. That stuff hit me in the eye and the legs. I had stuff flying everywhere. Well, guys, I don't recommend that. But, you know, the end result is what I wanted. I can now see the race right there and see if I can't get up underneath it. Okay, again, I don't recommend it. I got, you know, my knees bleeding now, and I got bearings everywhere. Well, there you go. There's the outer case that holds the bearings in. it just exploded and then shot these as shrapnel everywhere, including on me. So highly, highly don't recommend doing it that way. And if you are going to, wear some protective gear, not like me. Well, it looks like I've run into my first kind of major problem here. I'm having a difficult time with this. I can't get the bearing splitter to get underneath there you go. I can't get it between the housing here and the inner race. So I'm working on making a series of just some cuts through here, just kind of lightly going through here, trying not to damage anything. Okay, there you go. You can see we're starting to pull it up and off now. So we'll just tap it the rest of the way and see what we got. But it did loosen it up. There you go. It's off. You can see where I cut it. And we were lucky. We were able to get it off and get it without, there's a little bit of, it's like very, very, very light. Now I got to get the other side off. Hopefully that one's not so bad. Well, guys, I flipped it over, tried to get the bearing splitter on, and a whole lot of the same on this side. And I am not going to take it to the press and have this thing blow up in my face again. So I'm going to go ahead and cut the outer race off and then cut the inner race off, just like I did on the other side. Okay, got the outer race off. You can see here, I just cut through it, just took the chisel and just started tearing through it. All right, there we go. Got it cut off. Now I can assess everything and order the parts I need. Okay, so I'm out here now with the rear end, and I'm doing a little bit of sandblasting. As you guys watch my channel, you know it's my favorite thing. But at least it's a little cooler out. Not so bad, but anyway, let me show you what I got done so far, and then I'll get it finished up and we'll get it painted. Okay, pretty much got the this whole side for the most part cleaned up. It's not perfect, but I got most of it off. I'll treat it and then we'll paint it. Anyways, I'm gonna flip this and get ready to do the other side. All right, so I got them all cleaned up. I put a rust protector on there, and I've got a coat of primer on. You can see here, this one here is still drying from the rust protector. So that's all looking pretty good. And then over here, you can see this one here is drying from the rust protector. All right, there we go. We are ready to start assembly. And before I get started on that, I just want to show you what I've got going on here. That's what I'm using. Okay, and then you can see everything that we got. So, all right, let's bring it on down. All right, but I don't think we're all the way down yet. All right, so I think what's happening here, yeah, so this is hitting on the carrier. So I need to find something that will just press the race itself, because it's not all the way down. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the old race that I pressed off. I always hang on to them until I'm done, just in case I need them to press these on a little bit more. All right, that's it. Just needed a little bit more. There we go. All right, we're down. All right, so I'm going to flip this over. I'll do the other side. It's the same thing. All right, so before I press my races in here, I want to check the carrier itself. I'm gonna put it in, and I've got the original shims in here on both sides, and I just want to put this in real quick and make sure that that is correct, that I have no play from side to side, and that fits in there nicely, and I don't have to readjust my shims. Okay, so I have figured out how many shims I need on each side. I've got a nice tight fit now, no play side to side, so let's move on from there. And I've got the first of the inner bearing race here set in there, and we'll just find the right size driver, and we'll go ahead and drive that in. There you go. It's nice and seated. We'll go around to the other side. And on this side, you can see we have a nice seated race as well. All right, so now we can start working on our pinion depth and getting our backlash and all of that. So that's the hardest part about this whole job is getting all that set properly. So, and this one here's a little bit of a pain because the shim goes on before the bearing. So every time you have to adjust the pinion shim, you got to pull the bearing, adjust your pinion shim, press the bearing back on. So because of that, I'm going to reuse the old bearing just for the testing, and I'll press the new bearing on right there. Once we got it, then I'll go ahead and I'll pull this off for the last time, because this one comes off fairly easy, so it should go on and off fairly easy. And if I damage something, it'll be this one and not my good one. I am probably going to go ahead and go more shim than what they had to start with, and we'll just start with that. So this is the base shim. This is what came off of it, and I'm going to add to that. Press the bearing on, put it in here. I'm going to use the old crush sleeve as well while we're testing all this. And once we know we've got all of our backlash, we got everything we wanted, we'll put the new bearings in. We'll put the new crush sleeve in, which, where is it? Oh, here it is. We'll put the new crush sleeve in. And once we got that, we'll all done. We can recheck, make sure our backlash is good, that nothing changed. Our run-on torque is good, our bearing preload. All right, we got the bearing pressed on. If you can see in there, the shims. So we're going to start there, see what we got. All right, we got it in. We got some preload on it. So it should be just like it's going to be. That's what I'm looking for. I don't want it too sloppy. I want it to be about what it's going to be when I'm final installed, so all my measurements have a good chance of coming out. And you can see here. So we got it all set. So now I need to put the carrier back in. Backlash is about where I want it, but I haven't tightened these down, so I got a feeling we're gonna be a little too tight. But let's go through the process and tighten it up. Too tight. I did move a shim from this side to this side, which pushed this way, and now you can hear that. Now that's too much. That's a lot. I mean, it's, you know, in terms of backlash, that's a lot. So I'm going to move an even smaller shim from here to here and bring this back in a little bit to the pinion gear and see if we can't get that down a little bit and get this pretty close. All right. Okay. Rearranged it again. I moved a shim from over here to push this back in toward the piston, not piston, but pinion. And you can, that is just about right there. So I'm going to go get my gauge set up and see if we can't measure exactly what we have. Okay, so if I come here, you can see I'm sitting at 0. When I rock the gear, I'm getting, looks like right around 6 thousandths, which I am very happy with that. So I'm going to go look at the book real quick. I just want to, you know, take a look and see what they call for here, but 6 thousandths should be right within that. All right, so it looks like we're good. The book calls for this to be between 3 and 10, with it being preferred to be between 5 and 8, and we're sitting at 6. So we're comfortably right there in the middle. So let's call what we have good. I just don't know what my wear pattern is yet, so let's check that. But backlash is great, so let's see how these gears are wearing and figure out if we have to make any more adjustments. Okay, so we've got a wear pattern here where it's in there deeper, and that's unfortunately indicating that my pinion is too far toward the ring gear. So that shim I put in needs to come out. I was afraid of that, but because things are so sloppy when I took it apart, I wanted to be sure to, you know, maybe get ahead of the game, but I got way too ahead of the game. I'm going to pull all this out, pull the pinion out. We're going to pull that bearing, and I'm going to swap or just pull the a shim that I put in there. I'm going to pull that out, put this all back together, and we'll see what we got. Okay, we got it all back in. I removed the pinion shim that I put in, so we're back to standard on that. And now you can hear backlash is high again. I expected that. So I need to move this gear back again toward the pinion because the pinion moved away from the ring gear. So now I've got to come back into it. So I got to pull this back out, move a shim from this side to this side, and bring this ring gear back to the pinion a little bit tighter. All right, we're all back together. I've moved my shims back and forth. We've got our free play now, or backlash rather. Now I got to run the gears again and see if I've fixed my wear pattern. Well, guys, I think we did it. So you can see the wear pattern here is right where we want it, right in the middle. And it looks good. I love it. All right, so hopefully all of this holds when we put it in for the final time. I gotta now take it back apart, and on the pinion, I gotta put the new bearing on. We'll have to set the crush sleeve and do all of that. I'm gonna pull off the old bearing and put the new one on now that we know what our pinion shim is supposed to be. So let me go ahead and get that done. And I'm going to reassemble the pinion in here with the new crush sleeve, and the new bearing. So I'm going to go ahead and permanently install my pinion in the shaft here. So what I've done, just so you can see, there's my crush sleeve. And I got the bearing on there, and I've went ahead and lubed up the bearing with some assembly grease. So I've got that. We've got our crush sleeve. Now this, I'm going to push it through the other side, and you'll see here in a second. All right, I'm going to push that through, and then our bearing with the grease on it. that will go on. And then our yoke will go on. Oh, wait a minute. Never mind. I got one more thing that's got to go on. My oil seal. 1 second. Anyways, we'll put that back in there. So the bearing needs to go in. So we'll kind of start over. I got a little ahead of myself. Anyways, so bearings in there. And the book calls. All right. I'll put the bearing in just before I'm ready to do all this. So the book calls to kind of pack all this with some lithium grease. That's the service manual. Okay. All right, so we got our grease here. We're greased up inside. Now I will put this in and hopefully it won't fall out again. Okay. All right. Then we'll drive the seal on. Okay, here we go. All right, now we'll put the yoke on. There we go. Okay, so now you see a little bit of play in here, and that is that crush sleeve. So the next thing we got to do is we got to crush that sleeve down until we get the amount of bearing preload that we're looking for. And what we're trying to do here is just, we're trying to crush that crush sleeve. Hold it. I just want to make sure I'm square on there. Okay. Got it? Yep. See guys, it takes a tremendous amount of pressure to do this. And I never see anybody showing this, so I figured I might as well show it. Okay. All right, now just check it. It's okay, so we used to have a lot of in and out play, and that's gone. So now I don't have my preload yet. I can feel it. So let me tighten it a little bit more and see if I can't get my preload. Okay, got it. It's going right here. There you go. You okay? Yeah. You all right? You need to go? Let's go get it. All right. Show him the boo-boo. See? Deadly, deadly task. All right, we're going to go get that taken care of for him. We're back. We got him all doctored up, and we're ready to get the last little bit of tightening done. Okay.
What the heck was that?
Whoa. Not yet. Still waiting to feel some preload. Okay. we go.
Is that what you wanted?
All right, so we finished getting our measured preload. It was book salt calls for 20 to 25 inch-pounds. We're right at 25. So now we need to back this nut off and then torque it to its final torque spec. See, that's the thing. You would have to hold it. And for this, so I can do this. There we go. So now what we're going to do is put a little thread locker on here, and then we'll give this a final torque. What to do? All right, so looked up the torque. It's calling for 200 to 240. So we're going to go ahead and go on this with 220. All right, there we go. And we're going to double check our run-on torque, make sure all that's good still, and then we're good. We're going to call the pinion shaft done. And there you go. You can see what we got there. Looks good. And you can see there, gears all look good. All right, so we got that. The next thing I want to do now is I want to put a drain plug in. Just right in this area. Okay, so I've got the axle. You can see where it's turned up. My pinion's up top. So when I drill right here to install the drain plug, all my shavings should fall out and I can keep the housing clean. So I'm going to take care of this real quick and I will come back and I'll just show you when I got it done. It's just drilling a hole in here, tapping it, and putting the plug in. So nothing much to see there. Okay, I just want to show you I got the drain plug in and installed, and I went way overboard. Okay, I mean over and above, and I installed two. I flipped this thing over and got apparently disoriented, and I drilled the wrong one side of it, so I got to drill two of them and tap two of them, and now we have two. Ah, yes. Anyway, so, you know, we'll just call this one an extra vent. Anyway, I just wanted to bring you in and show you. That's done. So this is going to make maintenance on draining the oil and replacing it a whole lot easier. And that's why I like to put them in. So, okay. All right, so we're going to go ahead and put our wheel bearings in. So I've just got a little bit of lithium grease, just a light coat in there. That'll just help this a little bit. And you can see I've got some assembly lube in the bearings just to not have them dry. And we'll just work on tapping it in. There you go. About as easy as that. Okay, and now we're just going to go ahead and tap the seal in. And I'm going to fill this up with some of that lithium as well, just to have some grease in there, just to lube this all up so when the axle goes in, it's not dry. All right, and then this just goes in, just the same as that did. Not a whole lot different. And you could hear that change in that tone. You know it's seated. And we're good to go. Okay, and that's it. I'll just get the other side the same and we'll move on from there. All right, we're going to go ahead and put the backing plate for the brakes back on the axle. We're just going to go back with a bolt, a lock washer, and a nut. And we'll get them tightened up. That's all there is to it. All right, I'll get these all tightened up, and then we'll get the other side, and we'll move on. There you go. Got them all done. Looks good. All right. We're getting down to the last few things on this. Gotta get that in. I am ready to put this in now. I've got the spider gears out, and I've got a Spartan Locker installed. I've got a different video showing that, so if you guys want to see that, you're welcome to jump over and go take a look at that. I'll put it down in the comments so you can see where to go to see it. I've just put a little bit of assembly grease just around the gears there and on these bearings as well. So everything's got a little bit of grease, a little bit of lube. I'm not going to put any gear grease in this axle. I'm going to be selling off this axle. I don't have a purpose for it, but I just wanted to get it built up and see if I could get it along to somebody else who needs one. So it will not have, excuse me, it will not have any oil in it. I'm going to leave it dry. I don't know what the next person's going to want to do, if they're going to want to take it back apart, maybe change the gears, axles. I have no idea. So let's go ahead and get this in. Again, I've got my bearing caps and the shims separated and to each side, so I know where they go and which shims go where. So now's the time where we get to find out, do all the measurements that we did earlier hold, and do we have our right backlash? So let's go ahead and let's go see if we got it. Okay, guys, so I've got it in. Shims are in it. Everything's in. I'm starting to get my bearing caps on, and we're just going to temp install this so we can go back and check all of our measurements for our backlash and our wear pattern on the gears. All right, so just temporarily installing this. We'll snug the bolts down good and tight. Let's go ahead and let me go get my gauge out, and we're going to go ahead and check the backlash on this and see if we got that. And then once you check that, we'll check for our wear pattern. We'll get it. So we're all set up, and looks like we're sitting at about 10, and that's okay. It's within right here. So it's calling for 3 to 10 with a reading of 5 to 8 to be preferred. So they'd like to see it a little tighter, but it's acceptable from 3 to 10. So we are right on the edge of what's acceptable. So what I'm going to do is pull this back out, and I'm going to move a shim from this side to this side and see if I can't bring my ring gear a little bit closer to the pinion, and we'll take a little bit of that backlash out of there, and maybe we can get it into that maybe about 5 thousandths or somewhere right around there. All right, so one very thin shim, I'm going to get a really thin one out of there, and I'm going to move it over here. And I know I'm not using a bunch of technical terms, but this is how I do it. I'm not going to get a feeler gauge out, and I'm not going to check each one and figure out how many thousandths. It just takes a second to pull this, move one thin shim, really thin one over to here, maybe get that to move another thou or 2 thou, and that should tighten this up. Okay, I think we got her set now, so we'll take a look here. We're at 0 and 5. Okay, so we got a 5 thousandths backlash. That's what we're looking for, right in that kind of happy zone, so I'm happy with that. So now I need to check my gear wear pattern, and once I'm happy with that, hopefully that's good, so we don't have to mess with this anymore. I can torque these down, and we can button this up and call it a, well, we got to get the axles in, but, oh, you know, I didn't even think about that. I got to get those axles in. Huh. That ought to be fun. All right, I'll figure that out. All right, so we're going to torque the bearing caps. It says 50 to 60, so I got it set at 55. All right, all torqued. There we go, guys. So let you see what I had to do. So I had to put these pins back in when I put this into the housing so that I could get the C-clips. You can probably see right there, that little opening. You have to kind of move. There's the other opening right there. So you had to get that compressed again so you had a little bit more room to be able to slide the C-clip down in there. And then same on this side. So now that those C-clips are in there, and you can see right there, and you can see there. So C-clips are installed. They're a bit of a pain, but I mean it's not terrible. But anyway, so now we need to get the pin spots lined back up to be able to install the pin. So, all right. So I'm going to get those lined back up, and then I'll pull these little pins out here. All right, there you go. So I got the two pieces lined up for the hole here for this rod. And so now I can just pull these last couple of pins. Okay, guys, so you see I got the pin in. It took a little bit of getting my finger in there and getting those spacers that are in there back in tight where they could go so that pin would go through. But got it. So now these are already torqued. So my caps are torqued. I need to tighten this, torque it down, and I need to paint the gears and see if we can get a wear pattern on it, okay? All right, so our wear pattern is right where we want it, right in the middle. And looks pretty solid. So I'm going to go ahead and finish torquing down the keeper nut or bolt, and I think we're done. Put the differential cover back on, and we're going to call this all done. All right, guys, let me button this up, and we'll wrap this whole thing up. There you go. Better wrap this video up with a final shot of it. And just to recap, there are no brakes inside of here. They were bad. We pulled them out. I didn't want to put new brakes in here if somebody wanted to convert this to a disc brake system. It's currently a 6-lug, and so if somebody wants to convert that to a 5-lug, easy enough. Pull it apart. I did not seal this at all. I just snugged the bolts down so that can be pulled off easily to do anything that needs to be done, and it will not be filled with oil. But other than that, it looks really good, and it's set up good. So that's it. All right, guys. So there it is. We got it done. I appreciate you guys watching. It's been a lot of fun putting this thing together, and I'll see if I can get it sold. All right, I'll see you on the next video. Bye.